Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's up, PlayStation Nation? It's your boy Jay Barry, man. I'm back with another video giving you greatness once again, which is PlayStation Nation, which is the PlayStation 4. And yo, guys, I'm going right into it because I gotta go and talk against these Nintendo fanboys. Well, Nintendo fans, fanboys, whoever it is. I'm not gonna say fanboys, but I'm going to say Nintendo hypocrisy. I'm going to speak on when it comes to their fan base. And, when the fan base love to speak against something when it comes to other platforms. But when it happens on Nintendo, they love it. They love it. And the hypocrisy I'm going to talk about, well, one of them I'm going to be talking about is remasters. This is something that Nintendo has done as well. But every time Nintendo has done a remaster, it's always, oh, it's meaningful because it's been a game that we haven't played in a long while. Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess. We haven't played that in a long while. You know what I mean? But yo, remasters. Big shout out to Real Gamer. I have no real issue with Real Gamer. I think he's a cool dude. I definitely watch his podcast. I tune in there. I tune into these YouTube streets. You know what I mean? Where I watch his podcast, the Real Gamer, I think Real Talk or something like that. His podcast. And the other day they were talking about Sony and remasters. And how it's a bad thing and Sony's doing is horrible this generation because they got no games. All they do is remasters, where they really have like about 8 remasters, you know what I mean, from Sony itself. I'm not talking about remaster from Activision or whoever it is. That doesn't count for Sony. That is Activision or that is, whoever, you know what I mean. But I'm talking about Sony's remasters, where if you look at it, the remasters that they put out and the games they actually put out, the remasters is a much smaller number than what they actually put out. Okay, when it comes to remasters, the remasters are much smaller numbers when what they actually put out when it comes to their games. Matter of fact, so in the podcast you're talking about how Sony is horrible this generation because all they doing is remasters, and this generation sucks because all it is about remasters and remakes and all that stuff, and it's a horrible generation. And Sony leading the charge, I guess, with it. I don't know, right? But in the same podcast where where Sony says that some of these remasters that came out, like The Last of Us or Uncharted collection, is because people probably missed those games, and they coming from other platforms like Xbox 360, so they have the chance to play those games while they wait for the Uncharted 4 or probably Last of Us 2, something like that, right? So here in the same vein, in the same podcast, just like two topics later, the NX rumors was being spoken about, and there's rumors about the NX saying that there's going to be Wii U ports to the NX when it first drops. You know what I mean? So people that have missed these games, that people that haven't bought the Wii U, they have the choice to play these games. And in the same podcast, after bashing Sony for doing the same thing with the same excuse, it was a great idea for Nintendo to do this. And don't get it twisted, this is not my opinion. My opinion is that I really don't have an issue with remasters. You know what I mean? My whole thing is that if you want it, you buy it. If you don't want it, don't buy it. Plain and simple. It doesn't affect me any bit. You know what I mean? If I want to play a game over again in a crisper looking resolution, better, textures and all that stuff, I'm gonna buy it. You know what I mean? Just like with God of War. I enjoy God of War 3, and I say, you know what? I want to play God of War 3 on PS4. Give me them trophies. Let's go get it again. And guess what I did? I bought it again, played it again, beat it again. You know what I mean? That's all it is. But anyway, back to the hypocrisy, where for Nintendo it was a good thing because it benefits NX gamers, that missed these games because they didn't have a Wii U. Plus, it gives Nintendo time to get the NX games out, you know what I mean? So, fans don't have to wait as long because they have something to play on the NX, these Wii U ports. which is a totally great strategy. I don't mind it. I don't have an issue with it. But the issue is that the fact that just 2 seconds ago you bashed Sony for the same thing, and I just don't understand how could you even do that in the same podcast or in the same light. And this is not just that podcast. I've heard this. I've seen this on Facebook, on Twitter, all that good stuff. I've seen it, and I'm just like, yo, Nintendo guys, man, you can't do that, yo. Every time it's bad for one company to do something, Nintendo does it, it's okay, it's fine. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? And yo, I respect everybody on the podcast because I'm making it seem like they're just fanboys or whatever, but it's not. It's just that one instant, that one topic I'm talking about, because I've seen them say things against, you know, Nintendo, like, yo, this is not good and all that stuff. So I'm not trying to portray anybody as a fanboy, okay? But I'm talking about as a whole with Nintendo fanboys, not just the podcast, you know, on Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. And I just think it's kind of weird that you can bash Sony for remasters, but then praise it for Nintendo saying it's a good idea for the NX. You know what I mean? Just because of your platform. Another thing I want to talk about is how people have an issue with Sony dropping PS2 games on the PS4, where you got to pay $10, you know, to $15 at times for these games, with trophies and all the good features, 1080p, the PS4 features. But here Nintendo, on their console, they have something called a virtual console, and nobody have an issue with rebuying older games on that console. You know what I mean? If Nintendo drop a game for, you know, that came out on GameCube or Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64, yo, everybody will buy it up right away. Doesn't matter what the price is. Oh my God, that game is out, I'm gonna buy it. No questions asked, no arguments, nothing. Nobody bats an eye. But let Sony do it on PS4. You know, hey, drop Manhunt, drop Bully, drop Dark Cloud 1 and 2. You know, pay $10. You know, get a revised version of the game. You know, with PS4 features. Here's some trophies. $15 or $20 or $10. It's an issue. Everybody is screaming, oh, Sony's wrong for this. Sony, the hypocrisy is crazy when it comes to Nintendo fans, man. Like, how can you bash Sony for doing it when your own console that you play primarily does the same thing? That is my issue with Nintendo fanboys or Nintendo fans, and it's disgusting. It's your boy Jay Bar. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about this hypocrisy, and I'm gone. Doses.
For death, dismemberment, or irreparable injury to your central nervous system.
Captain, it's Ratchet. We just defeated the Snaggle Beast and found out what Drek is up to.
You did? But that's impressive.